Hello and thanks for tuning in to this week's MacDesk Floor Report. I'm Rebecca Darst from the Market Access Center here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. We're trading on the cusp of a barrage of earnings. Big banks are set to release their numbers starting tomorrow morning, and we are up a robust 8 points in the S&P or 80 points in the Dow Blue Chips. Let's take a look at the action overnight. Asia Pacific indices closed mostly higher, although Shanghai was the laggard as concerns over an outbreak of the H7N9 bird flu continue to spread in China. Tokyo stocks advanced even following comments from Bank of Japan Governor Haruhiko Kuroda, who said today that following last week's massive stimulus measures that the Bank of Japan has taken all necessary measures to meet its inflation target of 2%. February machine orders came in better than expected, and exporters led the field of gainers. European stocks traded modestly higher, adding a fourth consecutive gains across the continent. A string of CPI readings across the Eurozone came out in line with analyst estimates. While here in the New York pre-market, futures got a boost from better than expected weekly jobless claims, with initial claims coming in at 346,000. The market was looking for 365, and bear in mind that last week we had a very conspicuous spike to 388,000 new claims that preceded that abysmal jobs number on Friday. We also had a string of monthly same-store sales data. Just over half of all retailers reporting March comp sales this morning missed street estimates, with weakness particularly pronounced among the discount retailers. Apparel retailers, on the other hand, split the difference half and half. On the whole, the numbers were not great but not horrible, and that's good enough for investors today as individual retailers trade as high as 5% this afternoon. It's a different story coming out of the tech sector, where PC names are trading markedly lower after IDC reported that global PC shipments dropped nearly 14% in the first quarter of the year. Again, we're seeing weakness across the board in the tech space. Ahead of tomorrow's session, all eyes will be on major financials as the first of the big bank earnings reports hit the tape before the bell. Shares in the XLF set a new 52-week high today. The fund is trading 10 cents higher at 1861 right now. And we're seeing some demand from option buyers for puts in the April 12th weekly contract at the 1850 put strike, but then seeing primarily sellers active in the April monthly contract at the same strike, which looks like fairly nimble positioning on the part of traders today. Current prices point to an anticipated move of less than 3% for both of the companies reporting tomorrow. So let's take a look at the data releases that will be moving global markets next week. On Monday, we've got February industrial production and capacity utilization from Japan, along with March machine tool orders. The Eurozone will release February trade balance data. Canada will release March existing home sales. In the US, we'll get April Empire Manufacturing, the NAHB Housing Market Index, and February tick flows, and earnings from Citigroup and Schwab. On Tuesday, Japan will release Tokyo area condominium sales for March. Italy will release its February trade balance. The Eurozone will see March CPI and the April ZEW Business Sentiment Index. Canada will release February manufacturing sales and international securities transactions. The US session will bring March CPI, housing starts, building permits, industrial production, and capacity utilization. And it's a big day of earnings here in New York with a fairly diverse group reporting. This includes Coke, Comerica, US Bancorp, Goldman Sachs, CSX Corp, Intel, Johnson & Johnson, and TD Ameritrade. Midweek, we'll get March consumer confidence numbers from Japan, the release of the minutes from the last Bank of England meeting, along with March UK jobless claims, February average weekly earnings, and ILO unemployment. The Bank of Canada will announce its benchmark lending rate, and at 2 p.m. we'll get the release of the Fed's Beige Book. And we'll get earnings from Abbott Labs, Bank of America, Bank of New York Mellon, St. Jude Medical, PNC, and American Express. Thursday brings March merchandise trade balance data from Japan, weekly stock and bond purchases, and March department store sales. European data will be light, with only March retail sales from the Eurozone due out. Here in New York, we'll be looking at weekly jobless claims, Philly Fed manufacturing numbers for April, and the March index of leading indicators, and earnings from Union Pacific, United Health, KeyCorp, Pepsi, Morgan Stanley, and AMD. And we'll close out the week with Germany's March producer prices, industrial orders from Italy, current account data for the Eurozone, some inflation and wholesale numbers from Canada, and earnings here in the U.S. will include GE, Honeywell, Baker Hughes, McDonald's, SunTrust, State Street, AMR, and Under Armour. We'll be following the market data from the second these numbers hit the tape, so check your inbox for the midday and give us a call on the desk for color on what's moving your company's shares. Until next Thursday, I'm Rebecca Darst for the MacDesk Floor Report.